The Book with No Ending. Audio Story. Part 2. Descent into Madness. The words, "to be continued," seemed to burn themselves into Emma's psyche, leaving her mind reeling in the aftermath of the disturbing tale she had just experienced. A tremor ran through her body as she stared at the ominous proclamation, the leather-bound tome feeling heavier than sin in her trembling hands. Despite every rational fiber of her being screaming at her to put the abominable book down, Emma found herself compelled to continue reading. It was as if some invisible force had ensnared her, beckoning her deeper down the rabbit hole of cosmic horrors. Her fingertips caressed the gilded page as if seeking permission to turn it, to delve further into the forbidden knowledge contained within. With a steadying breath that did little to calm her frayed nerves, Emma surrendered to the irresistible siren call and turned the leaf. At first, there was nothing but the blank expanse of aged parchment staring back at her. But then, before her very eyes, fresh ink began to bleed through from unknown depths. Twisting, writhing tendrils took amorphous form, coalescing into arcane symbols and eldritch text that seemed to slither across the page. A strangled cry of terror escaped Emma's lips as the words appeared to take on a sinister life of their own, the letters contorting into profane hieroglyphs that burned the foundations of her sanity just by perceiving them. It was as if the very boundaries of reality were fraying at the seams, granting her a horrifying glimpse beyond the veil of the material world. Screwing her eyes shut did nothing to block out the disturbing visions. The damning glyphs had seared themselves into her mind's eye, their grotesque geometries unraveling in an endless cycle of torment. Emma clutched at her temples, nails digging bloody crescents into her flesh as she fought to retain her fracturing grip on reality. But it was already too late. The book had ensnared her in its ethereal web, its dark tendrils coiling around her battered psyche with each infernal passage she consumed. Reality took on a surreal, nightmarish quality as the lines between the waking world and the realms of the unutterable blurred into a hellish kaleidoscope. Phantasmal shapes flickered at the periphery of Emma's vision, their inhuman forms distorted in ways that shouldn't be possible. The very air seemed to thicken and churn with ominous presences lurking just beyond the veil of perception. She could feel them, those malevolent entities slithering through the shroud of shadows, drawn to the intoxicating nexus of dread and madness that she had become. The book itself seemed to grow heavier with each turn of the page, its malign gravity pulling Emma deeper into the yawning abyss. The words crawled across the vellum, wriggling like newborn larvae seeking purchase upon reality itself. No matter where her gaze fell, glyphs and ciphers seeped forth in a hellish liturgy, whispering dark revelations never meant for mortal comprehension. Visions of realms beyond the scope of human reckoning assailed Emma's shredded psyche with each paragraph devoured, blasphemous planes that existed outside the boundaries of linear time and three-dimensional space. Cosmic abominations writhed in colors unknown and unknowable, their very existence profaning the natural order with each ponderous movement. Somewhere in the recesses of her splintering mind, Emma understood that she was bearing witness to worlds and entities from beyond the star-spawned gulfs of creation itself. Truths so vast and terrible that they threatened to shatter what remained of her fragile sanity under their immeasurable, indifferent weight. Yet like a shipwrecked survivor lashed to the ossified remains of an eldritch leviathan, she could not tear herself away from the book's seductive, maddening grasp. Each time she dared to close her eyes against the onslaught of cosmic blasphemies, foreign languages took shape upon her inner lids, eldritch runes spelling out profane rites and forbidden lore that reshaped her psyche with every reading. Reality itself appeared to warp and distend around Emma as she spiraled deeper into the abyss. Shadows congealed into living, twitching shapes that scurried across the bookshop's walls and floors, their skittering fueled by some unknowable sentience. The air grew thick and viscous, each strained inhalation burning like acrid smoke in her lungs. And always, the endless drone of alien whispers echoed from every angle as if the very fabric of existence was alive with gnashing, hungering entities. As Emma turned the final page of that unfathomable tome, a piercing ululation tore through the night. An ungodly, bone-rattling vibration that shook the dust from the ancient rafters and stole the breath from her lungs. Unseen forces battered against the mortal plane, straining at the seams of reality in their desperation to slip through and bear witness to the profane confluence of realms. In that soul-scouring crescendo of pandemonium, a nightmarish rift yawed open mere inches from where Emma cowered. A rent in the weave of space and time, affording a scintillating glimpse into worlds where the known laws of physics and materiality held no sway. Strange, quasi-organic geometries pulsed in grotesque synchronicity on the other side, and Emma's decimated psyche could perceive millions upon millions of non-Euclidean forms moving in tandem like some obscene mockery of life. From amidst that fecund, swarming miasma of alien beings, a presence coalesced from the howling, rose-tinctured ether. Its very manifestation brought fresh agonies, for to gaze upon its radiant immensity was to behold the true, infinite depths of cosmic insignificance. Emma recoiled. Trembling hands clapped over her eyes too late to avoid that searing glimpse into the heart of oblivion. Its coming heralded the advent of insanity and soul-death, the fraying of all she had ever known or understood. And as that primordial, sublime force ruptured through into the mortal plane with a reverberating peal of thunder, Emma's last plaintive scream joined the maddening chorus of gibbering shrieks. Then, mercifully, oblivion.